Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Silvana. I'm a certified functional nutritionist, and I like to cover topics pertaining to women's health, especially where lifestyle and nutrition are related. And so this month we are talking about epigenetics, which essentially is how your genes are affected by lifestyle and nutrition. I started this in the beginning of June, so if you're interested in watching those videos, be sure to click on the link below or go through my library. And as always, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and comment if you'd like. That helps me greatly in the YouTube universe. Now, we're going to start this final week kind of with a reintroduction about epigenetics. So let's get into it. In this article by Conn Centers for Cardiac Longevity, the author writes, "Our progress in understanding human genes has been amazing and humbling. About 150 years ago, Gregor Mendel used pea plants to establish some rules of inheritance. And about 50 years ago, Watson and Crick described the double helix of DNA. In 2003, the entire human genome was sequenced, something I have done a few years ago. The humbling part was when the number of genes in human cells were counted and compared to other organisms, our genome was considerably smaller than that of many other species. For example, humans have about 25,000 genes in each cell, while the tiny water flea has over 30,000. Scientists had assumed that due to our advanced abilities in organ structure, we'd have over 100,000 genes. While we don't have that many genes, scientists have very recently discovered ways to impact the modest number we have in an exciting new field called epigenetics. It explains how changes in gene activity can occur without changing our actual DNA. One way that we can influence gene activity is through the foods we eat. Food can be used as a genetic on and off switch to alter our weight, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, cancer growth, and even our chances of healthy aging. The impact of nutrition in our genes is often called nutrigenomics. Let's keep going. This topic I thought was very important because heart disease is the leading cause of death among women in the United States. So let's take a peek at how are epigenetic modifications related to cardiovascular disease in older adults. The rate of aging has increased globally during recent decades and has led to a rising burden of age-related diseases such as cardiovascular disease or CVD. At the molecular level, epigenetic modifications have been shown recently to alter gene expression during the life course and impair cellular function. In this regard, several CVD factors such as lifestyle and environmental factors have emerged as key factors in epigenetic modification within the cardiovascular system. In this study, we attempted to summarize recent evidence related to epigenetic modification, inflammation response, and CVD in older adults, as well as the effect of lifestyle modification as a preventative strategy in this age group. Recent evidence showed that lifestyle and environmental factors may affect epigenetic mechanisms such as DNA methylation, histone acetylation, and miRNA expression. Several substances of nutrients such as selenium, magnesium, curcumin, and caffeine, present in coffee and some teas, could regulate epigenetics. Similarly, physical inactivity, alcohol consumption, air pollutants, psychological stress, and shift work are well-known modifiers of epigenetic patterns. Understanding the exact ways that lifestyle and environment factors could affect the expression of genes could help to influence the time of incidence and severity of aging associated diseases. This review highlighted that a healthy lifestyle throughout the life course, such as healthy diet rich in fibers, vitamins, and essential elements, and specific fatty acids, adequate physical activity and sleep, smoking cessation, and stress control can be useful tools in preventing epigenetic changes that lead to impaired cardiovascular function. Let's keep going. Okay, let's talk about testing, but first I'm going to give you my perspective on this topic. I believe that testing plays a role in healing, and it can absolutely give us clues in terms of where that particular person's health status is. But it is not the entire story. And when we start with testing or when we overtest, we can a lot of times overlook the very important part of the healing process, which is that person's story and the reason that they or the reasons that led them to their particular health status. So instead of focusing on whole body healing, when we focus only on testing, then we forget to cover or we omit to cover the multiple root causes that first need to be addressed for long-term healing. I've seen this with clients and I've seen this in myself, and it does not serve anyone. So for example, if we know that epigenetic factors or genetics are affected by inflammatory foods, by lack of movement, lack of hydration, poor sleep, and stress, then shouldn't we be focusing on addressing all of those first instead of getting stuck on what my test said or what this genetic test said? At least that's my opinion on it. And focusing on the story matters pretty significantly because there are going to be little tricks and little parts of the healing process that you probably don't think are important that are going to play a more significant role than starting with medication or supplementation, which still have their place. But again, probably not a place to start. Okay, anyway, let's dive in. So, Medline Plus is going to list some of the tests available, so I'll go through them briefly. Targeted, and you can stop this, by the way, to read more in depth. Targeted single variant. Single variant tests look for specific variants in one gene. Single gene tests look for any genetic changes in one gene. Gene panel tests look for variants in more than one gene. Whole genome sequencing. These tests analyze the bulk of an individual's DNA to find genetic variations. There's a little bit more we have to talk about, so we'll cover that on the next slide. Okay, we have 3 other types of tests to cover. Chromosomal tests, which analyze whole chromosomes or long length of DNA to identify large-scale changes. Gene expression tests look at which genes are turned on or off or expressed in different types of cells. When a gene is turned on or active, the cell produces a molecule called mRNA from the instructions in the gene, and the mRNA molecule is used as a blueprint to make proteins. Gene expression tests study the mRNA in cells to determine which genes are active. Too much activity or overexpression, or too little activity or underexpression of certain genes can be suggestive of particular genetic disorders such as many types of cancer. And then last, biochemical tests, which do not directly analyze DNA, but they study the amount of activity level of proteins or enzymes that are produced from genes. So those are your different types of tests. Let's keep going. Okay, before we move on, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and share my videos with your friends. That would help me greatly in the YouTube universe. Now let's keep going and let's talk a little bit more about lifestyle and epigenetics, because lifestyle plays a significant role. In Epigenetics and Lifestyle, the authors conclude that in the last few years, several investigations have examined the relation between epigenetic marks and lifestyle factors, including nutrition, behavior, stress, physical activity, working habit, smoking, and alcohol consumption. Although epigenetic modifications are influenced by the environment, most of these changes tend to be reestablished each generation. However, this does not happen at some loci in the human genome. The possibility that this phenomenon impacts successive generation is referred as transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Epigenetics is expressed to help explaining how gene expression is modulated by lifestyle and environmental factors and to bring a more complete understanding of individual responses to environmental cues and acquired risk factors. Because both epigenetic mechanisms and lifestyle are modifiable, epigenetics have largely untapped opportunities to determine how tightly epigenetic markers are dependent on lifestyle factors and whether and how much epigenetic mechanisms can be modified after positive or negative lifestyle changes. Let's keep going. Okay, and lastly, we are going to talk about the mind-body connection in gene expression. A wide variety of environmental factors are considered to turn genes on or off. In addition to physical factors such as heat, pressure, tension, training, and exercise, and chemical factors such as food, nutrients, alcohol, smoking, environmental hormones, mental factors are now being considered. Many reports have demonstrated the unfavorable gene expression effects due to negative emotional stressors, including shock, anxiety, fear, anger, and resentment. In contrast, little attention has been given to positive emotional factors such as deep emotion, excitement, joy, thankfulness, affection, belief, and prayer. In 2002, we proposed the hypothesis that the mind and genes mutually influence each other and have been engaged in elucidating how the mental status affects gene function. The present review describes our recent approaches focusing on positive emotions such as laughter and tickling, and discusses meditation, a popular healing technique mainly in the US, along with recent scientific findings demonstrating the effect of the mind on the genes. And this is a perfect example of whole body healing. It's never going to be one thing, it is never one root cause. You're not going to just focus on whole food healing without addressing other factors and expect to see a whole body healing or long term healing, if you will, because our body systems are interconnected and they're in constant communication with one another. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of food for thought. 90% of our serotonin is produced in the digestive tract. And that's just one of many connections of what's going on in there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I am not going to have a video next week because it is a holiday weekend. Hopefully I can squeeze in two the following week, but we'll see. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe, like button, post a comment, and share my video if you enjoyed my videos. Have a fantastic day. I will see you soon.